Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Under Construction. Here in this podcast, we sit down with and profile and explore the journeys of different individuals in art, entertainment, music, business, whatever it is, we're here for it. We're here to be part of your journey of becoming. And today we're sitting with amazing artist, talented man. I mean, listen, he's the top of the range in this class. He's released album on album. Let's say fire on fire. That's what he released. Fire on fire. Brand new single, Who That just came out, and talking about none other than East London's very own. And I'm going to be very proud of this moment because yes, he's from my hometown. He's from my hometown, and we absolutely love him. Incense, welcome to Under Construction. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys, and thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's an absolute pleasure. But before we start, now I thought we'd play a little game, all right? Because you're a rapper. I listen to some hip hop.
I just hope you're gonna ask me to freestyle.
Yeah, technically it is, but technically it's not. Because I was sitting and I was like, how far do I want to take this? And I won't let you freestyle. But I want to know, are you like a Biggie, an Eminem, a Nas, a Pac? Where do you find yourself in that range?
Okay, I'm definitely a Nas. I'm definitely a Biggie. I'm definitely an Eminem.
You're definitely an Eminem. Okay, so we have Eminem in common. Now, this is the challenge. This is the game.
Yeah.
Pick your
Okay.
favorite Eminem song and just drop one verse, just one verse for us.
Oh.
I'll drop one. I'll drop one. You go. All right. And then in the comment section, this is what you're gonna do for us. In the comment section, you're gonna have to rate who wins. And so the man's a professional artist. I just listen to hip hop, but I really feel like I could take it. I believe in myself. I believe in the Eminem on the inside of me. So, are you ready?
You're gonna take this one. Reason being, I really suck at lyrics. Like the amount of work I have to put in to remember my own lyrics. You know, I'm the guy who just the chorus. Like that's been my journey. I really suck at lyrics, but I love Eminem. I think my favorite Eminem song is "My Name Is."
Okay.
From the Marshall Mathers LP. Yeah, I'm all for that vintage Eminem. But either way, man, you know, even if I were to rap his lyrics, the content is vulgar, and I'm just not that guy. I wasn't gonna be able to blip out certain lies because then it's gonna sound whack, you know. So yeah, it's very tricky.
You make a
Even
good point. You make a good point, which leads me to believe. So, would you rather freestyle? A rap must happen, Incense.
rap must
A
happen.
rap must happen.
Hey guys, I wasn't prepared for this. Eh? I was never prepared for this. I'm a writer, guys. Eh? I'm not a better MC or freestyler. I'm a writer. I write lyrics. I'm just that guy. I'm a
Oh
songwriter.
man.
That's
So
my
for those who
spin.
don't know, Incense is from what we know as CHH, which is usually it's Christian hip hop. And the thing with Christian hip hop, this is one of the questions I had for you is, man, are there any beefs on the scene? Have there been? And how do those go? Yo, I'm David to your Goliath. How is this? How do those go?
I think the guy who's always been embroiled in controversies has to be Lecrae. He has gotten a lot of flack. Some of it it's self-inflicted. Some of it I felt it wasn't really necessary, you know. Because Lecrae he's been had a lot by the church. If you listen to his music, you'll pick that up. So he was going through like a really rough phase, and a lot of the Christian hip hop heads in the States felt like he had nothing positive to say about the church.
Mm.
So they would always, you know, release diss tracks. Sometimes they would like to release response tracks and stuff, but it's never really personal. Like it's more on a theological standpoint, you know.
Okay.
Theology and denomination is a big thing in Christian hip hop circles, you know. You get called out for your false doctrine in your music. You get called out for, you know, the things you believe in
Yeah.
light of scripture.
Yeah.
Is your theology checking out in terms of the Bible, you know, is the false teaching in your music. So you're constantly under scrutiny. Are you truly Christian hip hop, or you're just using this thing to make money off of it? You know, so there's always, you know,
A lot that
but
happens.
but beefs are always subtle. I guess it's I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a Christian environment. You know, you see, that one doesn't like that one, but you're never gonna hear it in a song. But
Mm.
you can pick it up. This one doesn't roll with this one. You know, for instance, just to make it more practical, there's an example of Reach Records.
Yeah, yeah.
Reach Records, their motto scripture, or what can I call it? The mission statement was Romans 1:16, you know,
Mm.
I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation, you
Yeah,
know, from the Gentiles to the Greeks. I think that's just my paraphrase.
yeah.
That's always been their motto. And they even had a movement called the 116 Click.
I
So now
remember.
what happened is they felt they needed to change their mission statement on their website. I think the Rich Records website, they removed the scripture. They felt they needed to appeal to the world more. They felt uncomfortable with the Christian hip hop tag, and that sparked a lot of controversy. And on the other side, you've got guys like Bizzle.
Mm.
Who's the other guy? I think they've got a whole movement called God
God
Over
over
Money
money.
or something.
Yeah, God over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
God Over Money movement. Those guys are explicitly gospel. If
Mm.
you listen to their music, all you hear is a gospel. They don't really tell you about what's happening in their lives. They don't really, you know, tell stories and, you know, social commentary much. Yes, they
Mm.
will have songs like that, but their sole purpose is to preach the gospel through the music. And
Mm.
there's always been debates, CHH versus gospel hip hop. You know, gospel hip hop is said to be your God Over Money, and CHH is your Rich Records. These guys are Christians. They make good music. They make music for the church. They make music
Mm.
that resonates with the streets. So there was always a rift around that, and you can always find it on rapzilla.com. They always document these beefs and
Yeah.
these controversies and all these stories.
I know, I hear you. And right before we get into everything in the industry, I mean, let's backtrack and let's start with incense.
Yeah.
Why the name incense?
Incense came about when I was a slam poet in 2008. We were running a poetry club at my church, and the guy that was like running the poetry sessions was like, okay, guys, you first need to decide on what you're gonna call yourself. You know, what's gonna be your alias or what's gonna be your stage name and everything. So I wrote
Yeah.
this poem about, you know, incense being like a symbol of praise according to scriptures. Like, I could use that as my stage name, you know. So incense is basically in scripture is the symbol of praise. You. So what I basically mean by incense is I use my gift and my talent as a sweet smelling incense to the Father. Every time I rap, every time I rock the stage, every time I rock the mic is to the glory of God. So that's
Mm.
why incense.
Okay, man, that's absolutely awesome. And so, okay, let me ask you about the work that you produced from your days of slam poetry. What do you feel is your best or your most favorite piece of work that you've ever done? And you're like, you look at that, you go, that's my baby.
It's very tricky because like there's a line I had on Casper's song. He says, "I improve so quickly, I'm ashamed of my catalog." You know, and
Oh,
I resonate with that line a lot because when I look back at my, you know, previous works, I'm like, oh, I did that. I'm better than that. You know, so
oh,
so I guess my favorite works would be what I'm currently working on now. It would be
mhm,
stuff that's gonna be on the forthcoming album.
yeah.
But in terms of what I've released in the past, it definitely has to be my album, The Process, 2018 release.
That was, and I know that album had a lot of traction. You
Crazy,
were
crazy.
on Espresso. It's an amazing album, and I think
I was
5 6 or 8 is still one of my favorite songs.
I was just
From
saying that, and I was number one on Google Play for a whole week, release week. I was number two on iTunes for that entire release week, which was just crazy for a Christian hip hop artist. I mean, Cardi B had a new album around that time. I think J. Cole
that.
had a new album. I was literally the only South African rapper on the iTunes hip hop charts and the Google Play hip hop charts for a whole week. So it was such an amazing experience.
And that was an absolutely, absolutely beautiful piece of work. And I've always noted this about, well, artists when they put out albums, when they put out music. And what I enjoyed about the process is that in every song, it highlighted your journey, spoke of where you came from, like 5, 6, or 8, that's your neighborhood from where you, and it continued to tell this beautiful story of this is who I was, who I became, and who I am right now. And so from the process, it's been 2 years, and I know you've got work coming up. I mean, and the thing is now you're producing an almost different kind of sound. What's the transition being like for you from the process to what you're currently working on right now?
It's been really beautiful because when I was working on the process, I think that album took me about 3 years to put together.
Mhm.
And I was just moving from studio to studio. And it was quite a strain, you know. It was frustrating even creatively for me working on that album. It had a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles, working with one engineer, moving from this one to the other, trying to find the perfect sound. And the big difference or the telling difference between the process and my upcoming album, I Promise to Be Honest, is that from the release of the process, I then invested the proceeds from the album sales into studio equipment. So I've got my own studio equipment, I've got my own home studio. So the creative process now is a lot more fun. It's a lot more exhilarating because I could literally work on one song for 2 weeks. There's no
Yeah.
rush. I don't have to worry about paying studio time.
Mhm.
And 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 since I'm recording my own music now, I then realize sometimes you're excited about a recording session, you switch on the microphone, and then you realize, you know what, my energy is not right for recording today.
Sure.
And when you book the studio, you've already paid money. Whether you feel your energy is right or not, it's immaterial. You've paid money, you have to record.
To record, yeah.
So, and from that experience, I would encourage artists to invest in themselves, invest in your own home studio, even if you're gonna just use it for pre-production and go to a bigger studio for the actual production of your project. But a home studio is the best thing I've done for my craft. It's the best thing I've done for myself as an artist. So the music is a lot more organic now and it's a lot more refined as well because I've literally taken time. I mean, the initial plan was to release the album last year, but the timing I felt it was a little bit off with COVID. You know, we're like in hard lockdown for the most part
Mm.
of last year. So I was like, the timing is really off, you know. So let me rather put out EPs. So I dropped
Yeah.
2 EPs within a space of 3 months last year, just to give people a teaser, just to whet their appetite for the album. So the
Mm.
album now is done, it's ready for release. I just need to work on release plans and just, you
Yeah.
know, the nitty-gritties of the album, do a shoot for the cover and everything. I want it to be a right process when I
Mm.
put it out. I have to make sure that when it goes out proper and it reaches where it needs to reach.
Wow. That's very profound. And with that, I want to ask you, what is the greatest piece of advice you've ever received in terms of being in the music industry and developing as an artist?
It's a very simple advice. Protect your talent, protect your gift, take care of it. I mean, you can't be a recording artist and you don't even know who Samro is. The Southern African Music Rights Organization, which is a copyright organization that protects artists' intellectual property. You know, you can't be a
Yeah.
recording artist, you don't know who Risa is. You can't be a recording artist who takes themselves seriously and you don't know what Sampra is, you know. So,
Mhm.
and all these organizations I've just mentioned, you register and you become a member at zero cost to you, and you're protecting
Sure.
your work. Um, uh, that's the only way you can, you know, that can be your springboard for greater things.
Mhm.
On the premise of protecting your talent, take care of your talent, be a good steward of what God has given you.
Wow. That is absolutely beautiful. And listen, if you're watching this episode and you as yet haven't followed Incense, go follow Incense on his Instagram, on his Facebook, and on Spotify, and put him on all your playlists because he is on all my playlists. Because
Run my music up. Run my music up.
this is one crazy thing I heard. There's a guy named Nick D from the States explain it. He was talking to another rapper, but they were talking about how having a catalog of like a diverse and a large catalog, actually how that helps boost the sort of income that you're able to generate from Spotify, Apple Music, wherever your music is at. And when I learned that, that's why people put out so many songs instead of having one album and you're like, it's my quality work. He said, no, have a lot rather than just having few. Because if you have a catalog of 100 songs and 10 people listen to all 100, then you've got, like 1,000 listens. But if you have 10 songs, it's going to take over 100 people to get you to that same place. And when I started learning that, that's when I go, listen to an artist, all these songs just have to play. I don't care where I am, they just have to play. And I was like, man, I'm just trying to work with people in the industry because I want my brothers to win.
I think also it's because we are at a phase or a dispensation of catalogs. You know, music was at a place where CDs were the currency. Now we are in a space of catalogs. Like, you have to release projects, you have to put projects out there, because you never know when one song is just gonna blow up. And when people hear that one song, they want to check out everything else you've done before that song. So you want to be ready for that moment. Should it happen or when it happens, you don't want to be caught wanting.
That's true. And Incense, you seem like the kind of guy who not only understands the space and the market that they're in, but you understand space and market. So where do you feel that CHH in South Africa right now is at?
It's at a very sad situation, man. It's at a very sad. Hey, there's guys who are like really doing amazing. You know, they take themselves seriously. I've got a lady called Melissa God Grace. She's a close friend of mine. Just to name a few, Lux Kent is doing amazing. I'm not saying everybody I won't mention isn't doing well. That's just one of the names that are like really doing crazy big and that are really taking themselves seriously. There's also a lady called Zinzi Kanish. She really takes her brand seriously. Who else? There's a young lady coming up as well. Her name is Lily Meyer. She's the one to look forward to in the future. She's doing amazing work. That's just the few names I could think of. But generally, like, guys don't really take themselves seriously. They don't take themselves as brands. You just see it in the way they move, man. You know, when they release songs, it's just, you know, song link here, and that's about it. You know, there's no proper press releases. There's no proper plans for their song releases or project releases. Just a matter of your album out, and that's about it. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into music, and it's the admin that determines a whole lot of things. Because an artist that is properly administered, whether by a team or they have their own hands on deck, they just look different. You know, they just look different, because it's all those things that determine a whole lot of they determine the trajectory of your path as an artist. You know, so yeah, it's a very tricky situation, but guys are trying, and hopefully things are gonna look better in the future.
And for those who are, for lack of better words, slacking a little bit in their craft, or in better communicating or better delivering their craft, because I think this is like a delivery issue. It's not that the talent isn't there or the songs aren't fire, but it's you're not getting it to people the way that you should. What advice would you give them to improve?
I think they should just study, man. You know, by study I don't mean formal education. We've got internet, we've got phones at our fingertips. Use that phone for the betterment of your brand as an artist. You know, information is like, we're in an information age. Everything is at your fingertips. You can Google up, how do I do a release plan for an album? How do I grow my, my reach as an artist. Everything is at your fingertips. Information is everywhere. As an artist, you need to be deliberate about learning, deliberate about empowering yourself. Do research, do proper research, whether it's formal or informal. Ask people. Don't be scared to ask. There's never a thing called a stupid question. The more you ask, the more you learn. And learning is from the cradle to the grave. You can learn as much as you want to learn, or you can learn as much as you are prepared to learn. Get people to mentor you who've traveled the path. I remember in 2018, before dropping my album, I had a mentor who's a jazz legend now. He's a music educator, like is a Metro FM award winning artist, best jazz album 2005. This guy told me about publishing. He taught me about copywriting. He just taught me about how to carry myself as a brand and how to take my music seriously as an artist. And all the lessons he taught me were like really invaluable, and they've made a difference.
Wow. What's incredible right now that about you mentioning a mentor is that last week we actually were sitting with one who considers you their mentor. We had Asher in last week, and I'm noticing this trend that not only does he see the need for a mentor to be mentored, but now his mentor says there's a need for a mentor and to be mentored. What do you think is the greatest benefit to having a mentor?
I think for me, it's you tend to avoid a lot of pitfalls that your mentors have actually gone through, or pitfalls that they've literally fallen into. There's a Chinese proverb that says, a wise man does not only learn from his own mistakes, but he learns from the mistakes of others. So that's basically the value of having a mentor. You learn from their mistakes, you learn from their successes as well. And then you decide what it is that is going to work for you based on their journey and based on what they've experienced as well.
Okay. Now, in light of creative processing, what do you feel any creator, whether they be a musician, influencer, or like just a content creator, what do you feel that any creator, in light of their creative process, could do in order to enhance the quality of their product?
I think it's investing in self, man. Like I said earlier, you really need to invest in yourself, and also realize, I'll speak from the perspective of a music writer or a rapper or an artist. Your art is for you first before you can share it with the world. Sometimes I will write songs, and there's so many songs I've written that I will never release because they're not for anyone, they were for me. Sometimes you go through stuff and you feel inspired, you start writing verses, you record songs, and after recording that and you play it over, you're like, okay, I'm encouraging myself here. I needed this. And this is not for an album, this is not a single, this is not for an EP. It's just purely for me. So the advice I would give is love your craft first. It's no use releasing music you hate just because the market is expecting this now, or this is the direction the wave is going. I would never release a song I hate just to fit in or just to be current and relevant. It's important to love. I'd use an example of a painter. Fine artists, like they create this beautiful sculpture sometimes, those these beautiful artifacts that they love themselves. And because they love what they do, it's so much easier for potential collectors to love what they see as well.
All right, man. Wow.
So love what you do. Love what you do. Invest in yourself, and the rest is history, I guess.
Wow. Love what you do and invest in yourself. Now let's move on to your latest single, Who That. Yeah. I would get up and do the dance. Right. You've got a brand new single out, Who That, and it's not a completely different sound. It's just, I think even in the lines you mentioned, you went from rapper to trapper. How is that transition been for you, just as an individual, just moving from that what was normally expected to what sounds really different, but it's actually really cool?
even that line, I don't mean I'm now a trapper. I'm still a rapper, but
Yeah.
I was in, you know, I was in the mood when I wrote that. Like I was, you know, I was in a different vibe and stuff. And
Mm.
I just, I feel like I've transitioned from just being a rapper. I'm an artist now. And you will see a lot of that in the album I'm gonna release. Like I've got Afrobeat songs, I've got a Kwaito song.
Sure.
It's still rap, but it's got, you know, Kwaito influences and
Mm.
samples. I've got UK drill. Who Dat is a UK drill song. I've got boom bap rap songs like for the
Yeah.
hits, like MCing and everything, you know. So I'm just enjoying the creative process. I'm just enjoying creating music. And
Mm.
it's an album that's very colorful. It's a lot more fun. My previous project was like really dark because it was a therapy session for me and hoping
Mm.
that people would relate and, you know, resonate to that. But now I'm just having fun, man. I'm really enjoying creating music. And Who Dat is a really fun track. I was like, you know what? Let me create a song that's gonna make TikTok sense, a song that dance to, a song I can create a challenge for. And I
Mm.
felt I really ticked all the boxes of what I intended for the song. And then I was like, even when I do that, I cannot let up on the bars. The bars have to be hot. And I must
True.
tell them who this Jesus is. I think
Super excited for the new drop, the drop of the new album. I promise, to be honest. We look forward to every single thing that you put out, and we trust that we're gonna enjoy it at least half as much as you have enjoyed making it. And I know, guys, listen, it's not gonna be like anything you've ever heard from the man. So don't come here with expectations and you notebooks getting mad. Enjoy the new sound. The man said he's an
yeah,
artist. He's an artist
absolutely.
now. Incense, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such an awesome, awesome pleasure to be with you, and you're a delight. I mean, you're super awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate the
And we
invite
look
and
forward to your new piece of work.
absolutely. Thank you.
Man, it's been absolutely amazing. And you dropped such wisdom today. I really, that's one of my things with this episode, is that there's such wisdom in the little bit things that you do, in the little transitions and the decisions you made after you learned a lesson. Like that for me is the things that if we can learn as we watch your journey now, we never have to stumble into. And our career journeys can be hard just by watching and learning and listening and learning. So thank you so much for coming in and just dropping those wisdom bars. And we love you and we love your journey.
Thank you so much, guys. And the key is learning is from the cradle to the grave. You never stop learning.
Mhm. Wow.
Thank
And
you.
there you have it, guys. Learning is from the cradle to the grave. Says the man who's continued to learn, and his journey process has been one of learning, one of revisiting and revising. We've had Incense, and his latest album, Who That, is out now. New album, the latest single. New album coming out soon. He promises to be honest. So this under construction, where we profile young individuals who are in the industry, are popping, about to pop, making waves, doing that which they know sits on their heart to do, is that passion for eons. And if you haven't liked or subscribed to the page, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button, then click on the bell notification so that you can be reminded every single time we premiere recording. We've got so much more content coming out. Look out on Facebook for our new segment called React. And this is where we sit with young entrepreneurs and we profile their businesses. These are people that we checked out Sweet Loops last week and okay, the weeks previous, and we're going to continue sitting down and profiling businesses that are making it, from young South African entrepreneurs. And then one day we'll go international, baby. But that's it from us at Under Construction. We love you.